Can the Cincinnati Bearcats do the unthinkable and knock off Alabama? Can Michigan find a way to their first national title appearance since 1997? Hey guys, welcome to Audacy Sports College Football Preview. My name is Jasper Jones, and I'm here to give you my thoughts on the two semifinal games happening on New Year's Eve. The first game on Saturday is the vaunted Alabama Crimson Tide going up against the underdog Cincinnati Bearcats. After such a crazy regular season in college football, the Tide looked rather ordinary this year. They were able to shake off a tough loss to Texas A&M on the road, and they were able to take care of business the rest of the way. They were able to hold off hated rival Auburn in a close and exciting Iron Bowl game, and they were able to pick apart Georgia's amazing defense behind Heisman Trophy winner Bryce Young, thrown for over 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, to roll to yet another SEC conference title, which was enough for the committee to give Alabama the number 1 spot in the playoffs, and they are the clear favorites to repeat as national champions. As for Cincinnati, they finally made it to the college football playoff. They are the first group of 5 team to make it in the college football playoff in its entire history. Like Alabama, the Bearcats didn't look dominant for most of the season, especially once we consider that the Bearcats play in a far weaker conference and should have really rolled through their opponents on their way to the college football playoff. Despite this, a win against a top 10 Notre Dame team in South Bend was more than enough to convince the committee to let the Bearcats in. Though this will be the biggest game in program history, the Bearcats made a trip to the Peach Bowl last season, where they lost by only a field goal to Georgia, another team in this year's playoffs. When these two teams meet on Friday, I ultimately think Alabama's experience, having been on this stage numerous times before, and their overall talent across the board, will ultimately be too much for Cincy to handle. If the Bearcats really want any shot at winning, they need a perfect game out of quarterback Devin Ritter and possibly pull a play or two out of the Boise State playbook of tricks if they want a chance at an upset. I have Alabama rolling by the Bearcats 48. The second game of the night is the Georgia Bulldogs taking on the Michigan Wolverines. Georgia was easily the most dominant team in the country this season, until Kirby Smart once again was flattened by his teacher Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide. The Bulldogs didn't have a ton of meat on their regular season schedule, so were they really the best team in the FBS, or just that much better than their mediocre teams they played? Was the SEC championship game simply a bad night, or were they exposed as a vastly overrated team? With a defense that would scare just about anyone, the X factor against the Wolverines will ultimately come down to quarterback play. With JT Daniels testing positive for COVID-19, the hopes of the state of Georgia rest solely on the hands of former walk-on Stetson Bennett. With both Michigan and Georgia having great defenses, if the run game isn't going for Georgia, Bennett will have to make some big plays, which I'm sure Jim Harbaugh and staff would prefer. The Michigan Wolverines, like the Bearcats, were not expected to make it this far. Heck, they weren't even expected to beat Ohio State this year. They finally were able to beat the Buckeyes and win their first Big Ten title against Iowa since 2004, and their first outright title since 2003. The Wolverines have a very similar play style to Georgia. Although the Bulldogs take more shots down the field in the passing game, both teams rely heavily on stingy defenses and the running game to control the clock. One fact I found remarkable is Michigan started playing football in 1879 and Georgia started playing only 13 years later, but they've only met for a total of 1 time on the field. The Bulldogs won 15-7 at the Big House in 1965, which was Vince Dooley's second season. In my opinion, this game will be the best out of the two, and I think we're in for a physical football game. Based on the defense and who can win the battle in the trenches to set up their run game, I ultimately think that will be the main X factor in who wins. I have Michigan advancing to their first national title game in nearly 25 years, upsetting the Bulldogs with a score of 34-26. So it looks like we'll see an Alabama-Michigan matchup in the national championship game, but we'll just have to wait until Friday to know for sure. That's all I have for you guys. Check back in for our preview of the national championship game. My name is Jasper Jones. Until next time, sign off.